Good evening and welcome to Up South, your one-stop destination for all the top news stories of the day from South India with me, T.S. Sudhir. For a change, we have decided not to lead Up South with a regular political story, but with this absolutely delightful story that is coming from Bengaluru. This is a story of 17-year-old Shalini, a student of class 12, who has scored 84.8% in her class 12 exams. This despite being a domestic help in 5 different homes in Bengaluru. She has also looked after her brother, who is suffering from blood cancer, and her father, who is disabled. She is definitely a hard-working student who has done her parents and her family proud. Shalini is now with us along with my colleague Pratibha Raman. Pratibha, many congratulations to Shalini. What an absolutely delightful story of great grit and determination.
Well, I have with me that 17-year-old who scored 85 marks and made not just her family proud, but indeed all of us are hanging our heads in shame because we haven't scored that much despite all odds. I mean, everyone is so proud of you today. I'm sure you have struggled a hell of a lot. Could you tell us from childhood? I'm sure you did not have a very happy childhood, but how did you struggle to fight all those odds?
Okay, actually initially I didn't take it as a difficulty at all because I am the person who used to find the opportunity in each and every difficulty. So I didn't take it as any burden actually. I just take it as an opportunity to shine out well actually.
So how was your schedule like? I'm sure morning you would go with your mother to help in everybody's houses doing all the domestic chores and then also to concentrate on your studies. How did you balance it?
Actually since from past 8 years I'm working with my mom. Initially I just go to help her actually and then Amman bittu and then I came forward. Nani Mayananta Bandai. I didn't feel shame or something at all. I just want to help her mom because she was the one who worked hard for us, no. So I just want to help her. So
now today, do you feel that all your hard work has paid off? I mean, you've lost your father and now your brother is in the hospital. Despite all of this, you've worked hard. Do you feel that you've reaped all those results?
Actually, first of all, I'm really happy with my result because because of my brother, because of my problem, I couldn't score well. But I'm really happy because I've scored 85% in that struggle also. I'm feeling very happy that I've scored 85%.
So what are your future plans now?
Actually, I'm trying to do engineering because none of them are, in our family, no one has taken engineering. So I just want to do engineering in my family because I want to be the first engineer in our family.
So she wants to be the first engineering student in her family and she still feels unhappy because she has scored 85% and she feels that she could have scored more. But then she has promised her mom that in the next competitive exam she will score that much and prove it to her family. Back to you, Sudhir.
While it's very sweet, Pratibha, the way she says that I'm very happy the way I have scored 85% marks. Many congratulations to her. She wants to be an engineer and we do hope her all the best in her future endeavors. Thanks a lot, Pratibha, for joining us there from Bengaluru. Now the entire Telangana government is involved in the Clean Telangana and Clean Hyderabad campaign. But there also seems to be a political angle to the Clean Hyderabad campaign, which of course is an extremely laudable initiative of the K. Chandrasekhar Rao government. Now Chandrasekhar Rao is himself leading the campaign, but there are reports, there is a belief that this is also an attempt to get closer to the BJP and also with an eye on the GHMC poll, the Hyderabad civic polls, which are going to be held later this year. Joining me now for a perspective is political analyst K. Nageshwar. Mr. Nageshwar, a lot of political presence there out on the streets of Hyderabad. Now, while the effort is of course very laudable, do you think KCR also has one eye on the Hyderabad civic polls which are going to be held later this year?
No, obviously, political parties and politicians do not do anything without any political interest. Otherwise, why are they doing only such Hyderabad? Why not such Karimnagar, such Nizamabad, such Adilabad, such Utnur, such Mehboob-Nagar? They are concentrating only on such Hyderabad. That indicates because Hyderabad as elections around the corner. So it's a very clear indication. But even if it is for election season, when it is benefiting the people, we have to welcome it.
Mr. Nageshwar, you make the point that obviously TRS presence in Hyderabad is next to nothing, but there is also the angle of the TRS proximity to the BJP. A number of BJP elected representatives are also taking part in this campaign, and there was this reported statement by TRS MP, who is KCR's daughter, Nizamabad MP Kavita, saying that if Prime Minister Narendra Modi wants, the TRS wouldn't mind being part of the Union Cabinet. Now, do we read this as Kavita's own political ambition or part of the TRS planned strategy?
Well, Kavita's personal ambition and TRS policy are interconnected, integrated. You cannot de-link the both. In fact, KCR has not just taken up the Modi's pet project Swachh Bharat in a very big way, but he has extended support to Niti Aayog. He was not so critical on the land bill. All this shows that the TRS is reaching out to BJP. But the only hitch is a section of BJP is not keen on joining hands with the TRS. And there is also a problem of BJP-TDP alliance. What should they do if they join hands with the TRS? So despite these political hurdles, TRS seems to be keen on joining NDA.
Right. Mr. Nageshwar, now assuming that if the TRS and the BJP do get closer, how do you think the other two parties, the MIM, which is a partner of the TRS in Telangana, and the Telugu Desam, which is a partner of the BJP, both in Andhra Pradesh as well as in Telangana, how are these two parties going to react?
Well, TRS MIM understanding will be confined to the GHMC polls. After the GHMC poll, they will simply say Ram Rahim. So their tie-up will end afterwards. The only thing is regarding the TDP. So now that the BJP leadership is floating an argument that Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, two states, they will have two separate political alliances. BJP would like to continue with this kind of a logic. They want to have alliance with TRS here and alliance with TDP there. But it is up to the TDP to really decide. The TDP thinks that it has an options choice. If the special status simmers on for a longer period, TDP will take this an opportunity to come out of the BJP alliance, but it only time will tell. The TDP priority is not Telangana. TDP priority is to keep itself strong in Andhra Pradesh. So Telangana TDP will have to sacrifice for the Andhra Pradesh TDP's political strategies.
Right. Mr. Nageshwar, thanks a lot for that perspective on this Clean Hyderabad campaign and its possible political implications. Now, Friday is going to be an extremely busy day for the AIADMK in Tamil Nadu, given that's the day that the legislature party of the AIADMK is going to meet at 7 o'clock in the morning to elect a new leader. And the expectation is that Jayalalitha will be elected as the new leader, after which possibly Chief Minister Pannirselvam will tender his resignation to the governor in Chennai. Also, Jayalalitha plans to garland 3 statues, that of MGR, Annadurai and Periyar, through the day, and we still don't have clarity whether the swearing-in ceremony is going to take place on Friday itself, assuming that Jayalalitha will be elected as the new leader. Let's get in Srisha Reddy, who will give us more details on what is really cooking inside the AIADMK camp. Srisha, what are really the plans as far as Friday are concerned? Are we likely to see an end to this entire suspense which is there in the AIADMK camp as to when is Jayalalitha going to take over as the Chief Minister?
Well, Sudhir, there is no clear date on when Jayalalitha will be taking over the Chief Minister, but we do know that on 22nd there is going to be the Legislative Party meeting that she has called for. As you also mentioned, that it's going to be at 7 a.m. in the morning so that people can come in, and it's also one of the reasons that they can avoid traffic is what AIADMK is official information on that particular end. But talking about it, we really don't know whether she'll be taking over the Chief Minister on the same day or in the coming days, maybe 23rd or 24th, but before 24th she will take over as Chief Minister of the state. And remember, this is going to be the first public appearance Jayalalitha will be making after herself for close to 6 months.
Right. Srisha Reddy, thanks a lot for joining us there from Chennai. And of course, many, including the industry, are actually waiting for Jayalalitha to take over because they believe that Tamil Nadu has been in some kind of a pause mode since the 27th of September when she was convicted by that special court in Bengaluru. Srisha Reddy sent us this report from Chennai.
With the AIADMK legislature party meeting expected to elect Jayalalitha as its leader on Friday, Tamil Nadu is looking ahead to a lot of ribbon cutting. In the last 8 months, with O. Pannirselvam as Chief Minister, neither a completed project has been inaugurated nor the foundation stone laid for a project. The opposition claims Tamil Nadu is in action paralysis mode.
Nothing has happened. Not a single highway was laid. Not a single employment was generated other than the government employment, where they have no other go because employees are retiring and they have to take people. Nothing has happened in the state for the last 4 years, including the period in which Jayalalitha was Chief Minister.
Projects delayed include the 15,000 crore rupees worth Chennai's metro rail project that was originally scheduled to begin its operations in October 2014. The Tamil Nadu Global Investors Meet 2015 was postponed from January to May to September now. The meet aims to attract investment worth 1 lakh crore rupees. 250 Amma canteens all over Tamil Nadu, 500 buses to be flagged off. Privately, industry is looking forward to some positive momentum with the return of Jayalalitha to the CM's chair. On camera, however, industrialists are reluctant to criticize the AIADMK regime because they know Jayalalitha was still the power behind the throne.
Tamil Nadu per se is an industrialized economy. It is having the industrial contribution close to around 30%. The core manufacturing and other industrial activities is close to 30% of the GSDP. So that's a very stable one, and it is happening irrespective of any of these factors. And this keeps running. There are, as I was mentioning to you, you can add up certain small element of accelerating factor. That can only probably be differ. But otherwise, the fundamental factors still continue to remain.
The AIADMK, however, denies that the absence of Jayalalitha had derailed administrative decisions.
Nothing has stopped because of Amma's absence. See, Metro Rail, they themselves asked for a time. They said we need more time. It's a very big project, and see, people are going to travel in it. So we had to be very sure the security must be 100% right. And they asked the government, we need some more time. Because of that only, it's getting delayed.
From a state with 2 chief ministers, one an elected one and one projected as the people's chief minister, Tamil Nadu will return to its pre-September 27 status by end of this week. The coming months are likely to see a government in an election mode with an overdose of welfare agenda. In Chennai, Srisha Reddy for Headlines Today.
BJP flexed its muscles in Kerala today, laying siege to the state secretariat in Thiruvananthapuram. And leading the battle was National President Amit Shah in Thiruvananthapuram, who would be hoping that his party opens its account in the assembly elections in 2016.
It's battleground Kerala for the BJP. The party is already doing the groundwork in the run-up to the civic polls this year and assembly polls scheduled for next year. BJP President Amit Shah on Tuesday addressed a gathering of party workers at the siege protest in Thiruvananthapuram to demand the removal of the state's finance minister K.M. Mani over his alleged involvement in the bar bribery scam. Speaking outside the Kerala Secretariat, the BJP president launched a scathing attack at the Congress as he said that when UPA was in power, 12 lakh crores of public money was lost in scams. He further added that the Modi government works for the poor and his Make in India will generate new jobs.
मित्रों, ये सम्मान जो नरेंद्र भाई को मिल रहा है वो नरेंद्र मोदी का सम्मान नहीं है, भारतीय जनता पार्टी का सम्मान नहीं है, देश की 125 करोड़ जनता का सम्मान है, केरल के लोगों का सम्मान है.
But it seems that corruption is an issue troubling even the Congress as it prepares to contest elections in a year from now. Many leaders within the Congress-led UDF have expressed concerns about these allegations against them.
സർക്കാർ മേഖലയിലും നമ്മുടെ തദ്ദേശ സ്വയംഭരണ സ്ഥാപനങ്ങളിലും സ്വകാര്യ കോളേജിലെ അധ്യാപക നിയമനത്തിലും വിദ്യാർത്ഥി പ്രവേശനത്തിലും എന്ന് വേണ്ട ജീവിതത്തിലെ മിക്കവാറും മേഖലകളിലും പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട സഹോദരി സഹോദരന്മാരെ, സത്യം പറഞ്ഞാൽ ജനങ്ങളുടെ അഭിപ്രായത്തിൽ അഴിമതി കുറയുകയില്ല, കൂടിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കും.
These elections are particularly important for the BJP since unlike the CPM, the party does not have a strong holding in Kerala. And Amit Shah's visit could help the party gain some ground in Kerala. Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
Right, and finally, a story of a thief in Medak district of Telangana who tried the top-down approach to steal in a house, and in the process, he got stuck in the chimney of the house. In fact, he had to scream for help to get the people to rescue him when he was stuck inside the chimney. But no, the people did not beat him black and blue because he was already quite black while getting out of the chimney. Clearly, shortcuts don't work for everyone. We leave you with these shots coming from Medak in Telangana. Thanks for watching.